On Granada next Sunday at 8:15, enter the fashionable world of Monte Carlo during World War II.
He may be here sooner than you think, Mr. Price.
Joan Collins stars as a singer who doubles as a secret agent.
Look, I have some friends who are very, very anxious to see these photographs.
The casino is the perfect cover, but the Germans are onto her. They plan to use her to lead them to their enemies. Passion and danger for Joan Collins in Monte Carlo. Next Sunday, continuing Monday on Granada.
And next this Sunday evening, trouble with an informer for Hooperman.
I need a rest. What's your game? Oh, you're, yeah, shattered.
Olivia, darling.
Yes,
This is the biggest moment of our lives.
you're so right.
This is the real thing.
It certainly looks like it.
As Olivia tasted the gigantic wall's Magnifico, she knew this was the affair she'd longed for. A deep core vanilla ice cream and chocolate sauce crowned with a hazelnut topping. She'd never experienced a cornetto as big as this.
Olivia, is this not the most exciting moment of your life?
Yes, it's a Magnifico.
Olivia, you speak the Italian just for me.
Wall's Magnifico.
Magnifico.
A truly adult affair.
In days of old, a dragon lived. Brave knights he kept igniting. Till a local lad piped up and said, "'Twill get you nowhere fighting. This dragon just wants cooling down. He needs real fruit juice, quick. Strawberry, orange, lemon or lime are bound to do the trick." So in he lobbed an opal fruit. It did just what it oughta, 'cause only juicy opal fruits are made to make your mouth water.
Peaches, peaches, all lovely peaches, fresh today. Morning, dear, how are you? Fitness food, all lovely peaches, take 'em away.
Something startling has happened to Surf. New Surf Automatic has more cleaning power to wipe out really stubborn dirt and stains and get your clothes cleaner than it ever did before, even in today's low-temperature wash. It also has a deodorizing action to get your clothes smelling fresh too. So, to get your clothes noticeably cleaner, get surfing.
I wish it was me.
Much better.
My record.
It's just how you feel when you know it's for real. Coca Cola is it.
Now, over 1 million women read Bella. It's Britain's fastest growing women's weekly.
Whatever you want.
Tonight at 10 o'clock, Megler TV on the Orient Express.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting stuck into the victuals. After all, we've earned this trip. We've worked for it. It's a sign of appreciation of a job well done.
Gone. For 5. Let's have you out of that vocative piece of silk.
Are you asking me to condone the seduction of my girl under threat of demotion?
Yes.
Oh.
Comedy from top to bottom. Tonight on Granada.
The third and final part of the political thriller A Very British Coup is just beginning over on Channel 4. Here on Granada, John Ritter stars once again as Hooperman in The Snitch.
Olivia, darling.
Yes,
This is the biggest moment of our lives.
you're so right.
This is the real thing.
It certainly looks like it.
As Olivia tasted the gigantic walls Magnifico, she knew this was the affair she'd longed for. A deep core vanilla ice cream and chocolate sauce crowned with a hazelnut topping. She'd never experienced a cornetto as big as this.
Olivia, is this not the most exciting moment of your life?
Yes, it's a Magnifico.
Olivia, you speak the Italian just for me.
Walls Magnifico. A truly adult affair.
Visit your nearest DC Cook showroom right now for a stunning deal. Because if you're very quick, we can offer you the famous Fiat Uno with interest-free credit over 3 years and a free 3-year warranty. But you'll have to hurry, because turnover is going to be spectacular. DC Cook, for a better deal.
I like this one. Ooh, Alan, this one looks nice in Beach Road.
Beach Road?
King's Head.
No. Looks a bit run down to me.
There's a lovely one here in Church Street.
Black Dog.
Bit on the small side, isn't it?
What about this one in Green Lane?
For 3 hours.
It's just what we're after, love.
There's over 200 years of brewing skill in every pint of Boddingtons.
It's thirsty work, this moving.
So if you don't get bodies, you'll just get bitter.
Sale goods paid for with the American Express card are automatically insured for 90 days. Paid for any other way, they aren't. American Express Purchase Protection.
Ribena Dry. A refreshingly new, lightly sparkling drink with a sharper blackcurrant taste.
You shouldn't be out here alone. Big cats are always ready for a feast.
So am I. Have one.
You're full of surprises, Richie.
She thrilled as Jeremy's perfect teeth bit through the crisp coating, the layer of smooth chocolate ice cream, the solid dark center. Jeremy devoured the walls feast.
Jeremy, you're not still hungry, are you?
Only for you, Virginia.
Gosh.
Walls feast, a truly adult affair.
We've a great Western tonight on 4, starring, of course, Big John Wayne, Lee Marvin, and a doubtful lady.
Last time we had the pleasure of your company, we was involved in 4 fistfights, a stabbing, and a shooting, and all before midnight.
Stuart Whitman's in there, too.
You know, it's getting very tiresome lugging the saddle around. I don't suppose you take my word of honor that I won't try to escape.
Mansoor, you are a Lulu.
No Western would be complete without the bad guys, a bar brawl, and attacking Indians. The Comancheros, tonight at 10:15, Channel 4.
Right guard is double protection. Reach out with confidence.
Oh, I need a rest.
What's your game? Oh, you're,
Yeah.
shattered.
DTI's design initiative helped one company put wind in their sails with an automatic pilot for yachts. As just part of the wide range of schemes in DTI's enterprise initiative, it could help you too. Take it. Phone 0800 500 200 for a brochure.
Make
kids snappy? Get to grips with the marvels of medicine, science and technology in the acid test. Monday at 6:30 here on Granada.
This is Granada. Now the latest world news from ITN in London.
The news from ITN.
America admits it shot down an Iranian Airbus. 66 children among nearly 300 dead. Pentagon says the plane was hostile, the US fired in self-defense. Reagan calls it a terrible tragedy, but defends the action. Good evening. The United States has admitted accidentally shooting down an Iranian airliner with nearly 300 people on board, 66 of them children. It's thought there were no survivors. The Americans said the Iran Air Airbus flying between Bandar Abbas and Dubai was brought down after one of its helicopters was shot at in the Gulf. The Americans say they mistook the Airbus for an Iranian F-14 fighter and they were acting in self-defense. President Reagan called it a terrible human tragedy, but said it was proper defensive action. The Iranians said it was a barbaric massacre.
The Iranian Airbus was shot down just minutes after takeoff. It's thought there were no survivors. As the dreadful task of retrieving the bodies of the dead began, Iran said the passengers included 66 children under the age of 12. More than 100 bodies have been recovered so far. Earlier, friends and relatives gathered at Dubai airport as news of the disaster began to arrive. Soon after the initial Iranian claim that the Airbus had been shot down by the Americans, the Pentagon issued a partial denial. Tonight, the sequence of events became clear. At 7:10 this morning, British summertime, a helicopter from the cruiser USS Vincennes was shot at by 3 Iranian gunboats. At 7:42, the Vincennes and the frigate Elmer Montgomery returned the fire using their 5-inch guns. 2 of the gunboats were sunk, the other damaged. 5 minutes later, the Iranian Airbus Flight 655 left Iran's military airfield at Bandar Abbas on a scheduled flight to Dubai. Its route took it towards the battle zone. At 7:49, the Vincennes, believing it was being attacked by an F-14 jet fighter, issued a warning to the aircraft to change course. A second warning was issued 2 minutes later. Both warnings were ignored, and at 7:55 British time, the Vincennes reported shooting down an F-14. In fact, they'd hit Flight 655, which crashed into the sea near Hangam Island in the Strait of Hormuz.
An Iranian Airbus is presumed crashed. Please look for survivors or aircraft wreckage.
It wasn't until 6:30 this evening, as the search for bodies continued, that the Americans finally admitted their tragic mistake nearly 12 hours after the fatal missile attack.
Senior Pentagon officials were summoned in the early hours of the morning as the drama in the Gulf unfolded. President Reagan, who left the White House on Friday to spend the Independence Day weekend in the country, was woken up before 5 a.m. and briefed throughout the day. Nearly 11 hours after the incident, Admiral William Crowe, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, emerged to correct earlier reports that the aircraft involved was an F-14 fighter.
After receiving further data and evaluating information available from the Persian Gulf, we believe that the cruiser USS Vincennes, while actively engaged with threatening Iranian surface units and protecting itself from what was concluded to be a hostile aircraft, shot down an Iranian airliner over the Straits of Hormuz. The U.S. government deeply regrets this incident.
The Americans say they acted in self-defense, that they were already engaged in combat when the Vincennes spotted an aircraft approaching at high speed and low altitude outside the normal commercial flight corridor.
There were electronic indications on Vincennes that led it to believe that the aircraft was an F-14. Given the threatening flight profile and the decreasing range, the aircraft was declared hostile.
After warnings on both military and commercial radio frequencies, 2 missiles were fired, one hitting the Iranian jet. The Americans intensified their military presence in the Gulf early last year, and barely 2 months later, 37 U.S. seamen were lost when the frigate Stark was hit by an Exocet missile fired from an Iraqi plane. There have been a number of incidents with the Iranians since then. The latest just 2 months ago, when 2 Iranian oil rigs were destroyed. Tension in the Gulf has been matched by political controversy at home. Congressional critics repeatedly warning that America could find itself drawn into a war. The days ahead seem certain to bring even more bitter argument. But Admiral Crowe made it clear today the administration won't back down, emphasizing that in the Pentagon's view, the Iranians were the guilty party.
If a country's going to wage combat operations in a certain area and then send a commercial airline in the area during that, of course it's an accident waiting to happen. We do deeply regret the loss of life, though.
Comparisons are already being drawn with the Soviet downing of Korean jetliner KAL 007 in 1983. But Admiral Crowe says that case was very different.
It was not a war zone. There was not combat in progress. There was not combat there normally. And secondly, the KAL 007 was not warned in any way, form, or fashion.
Ronald Reagan has not allowed this incident to interfere with his holiday, but he has issued a statement deeply regretting the loss of life in what he calls a terrible human tragedy. It may prove to generate the fiercest controversy of his presidency, but there's no indication tonight that it will significantly alter US policy in the Persian Gulf. Tim Ewart, ITN, Washington.
The USS Vincennes has one of the most sophisticated radar systems of any warship in the world. It's linked to the Standard missile system, which can destroy aircraft as much as 75 miles away. Yet even modern radar can't positively identify a target.
If it was just a straightforward radar in the way that you and I normally understand it, the blip would look the same whether it was a fighter or an airliner. The only thing which would have identified it basically is that the fighter would have been moving very much more quickly than the airliner.
The Iran airplane had taken off from Bandar Abbas, which is also a military airbase, flying, the Americans say, slightly off the official air lane. Other airlines keep well south of the Straits of Hormuz because of the war zone danger. The Pentagon has talked of the target travelling fast at 450 miles an hour, but that's exactly the normal cruising speed of a jet airliner. An attacking fighter could be considerably faster. The US Navy say they had other electronic indications that the plane was an Iranian F-14, but they won't say what they are. Normal military procedure would be to try to identify a suspect plane from its radar transmissions or to interrogate it electronically. The ship sends a signal to the aircraft, triggering a transponder which gives the plane's identity, for example, its flight number. But the American version of today's tragedy doesn't mention doing that. It says the Vincennes spotted a mystery blip at 7,500 feet on radar, tried repeatedly to contact it verbally by radio, then saw it apparently diving and increasing speed. It was finally identified as hostile, and 2 missiles were sent on their way. Tension in the Gulf rose yesterday when a US Navy warship defended a Danish vessel under Iranian attack. Tehran said it won't leave America's crimes unanswered. There are fears today's tragedy could further delay the release of Western hostages from Iranian-inspired captivity in Beirut.
Tonight, Mrs. Thatcher said Britain profoundly regretted the loss of life. It was a tragedy for all concerned. The Prime Minister's office added that Britain accepts the right of forces engaged in hostilities to defend themselves. Labour has demanded a common statement tomorrow on the incident. Earlier, Mr. Kinnock responded to the news.
It's a horrific, nightmarish occurrence, obviously. And I suppose, since time immemorial, whenever there's been conflict, the innocent have been caught in the crossfire. It happened in Northern Ireland this week to a taxi driver. But clearly, when there's a scale of conflict as there is in the Iran-Iraq war, and high-technology weapons are flying around the sky, it's only to be calculated, I suppose, that sooner or later some dreadful misfortune is going to befall people.
Now the rest of the news. Mr. Kinnock earlier attacked the government's record on the health service. Speaking at a rally to mark the 40th anniversary of the NHS, he said the Tories were guilty of mutilating the service.
Mr. Kinnock was on fine form today, discovering the sort of harmony with the Grimethorpe Colliery band he must long for sometimes in his own party. The event, with that veteran of Labour cabinets, Barbara Castle, there to help cut the NHS birthday cake, was part continental-style political celebration and part good old-fashioned British political meeting. A chance either way for Mr. Kinnock to shake a few hands, to dispense a few kisses, and to launch a bitter attack on what he called Mrs. Thatcher's erosion and slow mutilation of the health service. Typical of her view, Mr. Kinnock said, that there's no such thing as society.
We'll see the words next emblazoned on the T-shirts of the football mobs. And you know those words, no such thing as society, wouldn't look out of place on their T-shirts or tattooed on their arms.
For Labour, a belief in society, collective provision to guarantee individual freedom was the guiding principle behind the health service.
A service of all the people, provided for all the people, by all the people. Our National Health Service. Happy birthday, NHS!
And more music with Mr. Kinnock's fine baritone voice much in evidence to end the day.
I do believe that we shall overcome someday.
Michael Brunson, ITN at Alexandra Palace.
A man who took photographs moments after the Gibraltar shooting says he's been paid £10,000 to help conceal the identity of SAS men at the scene. His negatives, which were taken by police after the shooting of 3 IRA bomber suspects, have now been returned, with the soldiers' faces blotted out.
This weekend, Gibraltar power station worker Douglas Thalesia is £10,000 richer. That's the price the police have paid him to preserve the anonymity of the soldiers who killed the 3 IRA members in March. Moments after the shooting, Douglas began taking photographs, which included identifiable military personnel believed to be the SAS. He loaned the film to the police, who wouldn't give it back until a few days ago.
I've looked at the negatives and I haven't seen the pictures, and you can notice that the faces of the people, you know, of the officers are all blanked off, and I agreed with that. So I'm very, very happy.
The amateur photographer is also happy with a payment from the police of £10,000, compensation for inconvenience and damage to the film. Tomorrow in the Supreme Court, the coroner may decide that the SAS men should give evidence, but there's no guarantee that they'll turn up. If their lawyers aren't satisfied with security arrangements, it's understood that they'll advise their clients not to come. Security along the frontier has been noticeably more vigilant over the last 2 weeks. For the duration of the hearing, about 2 days, it's understood that all vehicles entering Gibraltar will be stopped and searched. Colin Baker, ITN, Gibraltar.
Tennis, and they'll all be back at Wimbledon tomorrow. Boris Becker and Stefan Edberg did play, but for only 20 minutes before rain stopped the match. When they went off, Edberg was leading in the first set, 3-2.
Tennis buffs, some of whom had paid hundreds of pounds for their seats, sat stoically through 4 hours of rain. As it began to clear, others made their own entertainment. And eventually the queuers were allowed in as the sun finally made an appearance. The removal of the covers got its usual big cheer, but almost immediately down came the rain again. Eventually, 4.5 hours late, the gladiators appeared. Becker had to remind Edberg he had to bow to the royal box. The rain had probably muddled his memory. It hadn't muddled his tennis, though. He treated Boris's big serve with contempt. If Boris had come out of the long wait in the locker room dozing, the Swede, who lives in Chelsea and has an English coach, was buzzing. With some amazing shots, he moved into a 3-games-to-love lead before the German had got out of first gear. As the clouds gathered again, Boris just had time to break back. Then the inevitable. At least with Boris to serve to level it, it's pretty well even Stevens again for tomorrow. Giles Smith, ITN Sport, Wimbledon.
And that's the news from all of us in the newsroom. A very good evening.
I was trying to be optimistic. He said, no. You have lung cancer.
Throughout the world, almost all doctors agree smoking kills. A safer cigarette could save thousands of lives. World in Action has evidence that a tobacco company has invented a life-saving cigarette that doesn't cause cancer, but the company refuses to sell it. That's the secret of the safer cigarette. World in Action, Monday night, 8:30.
And now the weather forecast: thickening cloud with outbreaks of rain in southern districts will spread to most parts overnight, and some of the rain may be heavy at times. Temperatures should only fall to around 11 degrees centigrade. The overnight rain should die out tomorrow morning, but further showers are likely during the day, and the top temperatures will be a cool 16 degrees centigrade, that's only 61 Fahrenheit, and the moderate winds will become north to northwesterly. Well, that's the weather forecast. Next tonight, comedy in Room at the Bottom.
You'd expect to find plenty of British steel in Britain, in all shapes and sizes. But British steel's going much further than that. We're selling it in Canada, in India, the USA, in Egypt, and in Sweden. Indeed, there aren't many countries that don't buy British steel. From April to September last year, our exports were up by 40%. British steel, in shape for things to come.
I thought I knew how good Everest double glazing was, but I didn't. I didn't know about this amazing Solar Plus glass. It actually reflects heat back inside your room, and it's fitted as standard. And I certainly didn't know that Everest fit their patio doors with toughened safety glass as standard. For more details, ring free phone Everest or speak to your rep when he calls. You only fit double glazing once, so fit the best. Everest.
Now here's a cereal you haven't seen before. Kellogg's
Raisin Splitz.
There's raisin in the middle.
Kellogg's Raisin Splitz.
Is the perfect combination.
Whole wheat, great tasting raisin.
All wrapped up
In a perfect square.
It's really unexpected.
To find it though.
There's raisin in the middle.
Kellogg's Raisin Splitz.
Raisin in the middle. You're gonna like it there. Raisin in the middle.
New
Kellogg's
Raisin Splitz.
This man had a nice collection of antiques. And he was so worried about burglars that he had his house built without any windows. Nevertheless, one day, a gang of crack international thieves broke in and stole the lot. And although the Pharaoh was fully covered, Eagle Star weren't around to ensure his valuables. Don't bury your head in the sand. Ask your financial advisor or insurance broker about Eagle Star's household insurance. Because with Eagle Star, you can face the future with confidence.
You shouldn't be out here alone. Big cats are always ready for a feast.
So am I. Have one.
You're full of surprises, Virginia.
She thrilled as Jeremy's perfect teeth bit through the crisp coating, the layer of smooth chocolate ice cream, the solid dark center. Jeremy devoured the Wall's feast.
Jeremy, you're not still hungry, are you?
Only for you, Virginia.
Gosh.
Wall's feast, a truly adult affair.
Stacy Keach is Mistral, a struggling Parisian artist suddenly inspired and obsessed by his new model, Maggie Lunel.
You know, I'd give anything for that picture.
It is mine.
Stephanie Powers as the girl whose portrait brings fame, fortune, and new affairs, while Mistral finds a new love in Lee Remick.
Will you marry me, Julien?
You're not trying to bribe me, are you?
We are going to have a baby.
Julien Mistral!
I have but one obligation, and that is to my work!
From the salons of Paris to the shores of New York, a new world beckons Mistral's daughter. A major series starts next Wednesday at 11:45 here on Granada. Tonight at 10:30, Miriam Stoppard presents a Where There's Life special on The Vicious Circle. But now, Megla Television takes to the Orient Express.